joining us today. It's nice to see you remotely. And a particular thanks to Dr. Tromp and John Colgrove for joining us as we discuss the City of Boise's Economic Recovery Task Force. And that's what I'm here to do today. It's quite an honor to be joined by these two members of the task force and to talk with the public about our intention moving forward to ensure that we take every step possible to do what we must so that our economy can recover and our residents can find the economic opportunity that makes it possible to build a life here for which we all dream and seek. And on that, I just want to say these last couple months have been incredibly difficult, both here locally from an economic perspective, from a mental health perspective, the things that we've asked everyone in this community to do to sacrifice to keep our public healthy. And now as we get to the point where we're at now in we've finished phase one, we're in phase two, recovery and the way we look at that becomes even more important. And so our economy is hurting and our residents are hurting here locally, nationally, and globally. And I truly believe that it's the communities that work together in partnership to protect public health and now are willing to come together to ask questions about what will be different. What are our strengths and weaknesses, and how might we capitalize on a new world post-COVID to build our economy and help our residents recover from this crisis? The communities that do that will be the ones best positioned in the long run. And so it's for that reason that I've invited a group of people throughout this community to join the city in forming an economic recovery task force. And of course, I'm so grateful that Marlene Tromp and John Colgrove have joined us, and they'll discuss some of their thoughts on what's next. But I wanted to share with the public and members of the media, the members of this task force, and thank each of them for committing to spend their valuable time in helping us ensure that we have a foundation for strong economic recovery in the long run. So with that, I'm so pleased to welcome Lisa Grove, President of Idaho Power, Andy Scoggin, the CEO of Scoggin Capital Investment and a member of the State of Idaho Board of Education. Dr. Marlene Tromp, of course, President of Boise State University. Daniel Malarkey, a Senior Fellow at the Sightline Institute. Skip Oppenheimer, the CEO of Oppenheimer Companies. Michael Satz, an Associate Professor of Law at the University of Idaho. Marcella Escobari, a Senior Fellow at the Brookings Institute. Alexander Tolte, a board member of the Shakespeare Festival and former executive here in the Valley. Bill Avey, a vice president at HP Inc. Melanie Rubaki, partner at Perkins Coie. Karen Billoweth, the CEO of the Idaho Community Foundation. And of course, John Colgrove, the president of Albertson Corporation's Intermountain Division. This esteemed group of people have agreed to join our city in charting a plan to move us forward. And I've asked that the task force help us ask the right questions, determine which partners we ought to reach out to in the community, help us determine what our strengths are that we might build off of, and work with me and people in the city to make sure that we're taking advantage of all the policy changes at the federal level as well to help us recover. And so with that, I would love to welcome first Dr. Tromp, it's not to the stage, what is this, to the Zoom to offer a few words. And then after that, we'll have John Colgrove as well.
Thank you, Mayor McLean. I'm delighted to be a part of this group. Boise State is an innovative economic driver for the city of Boise and for the state of Idaho. You may or may not know that the university and its alums contributed $1.9 billion to the state's economy in 2015, which is our most recent data. Nearly $600 million of the university's direct and indirect economic impacts were felt right here in the Boise metro area. Most of our graduates stay here to live, work, and raise their families in the Treasure Valley. The Economic Task Force is an example of the city, state, business, and education working together to, in the language of one of my team members, Peter Reese, accelerate through the curve. Boise State, right from the beginning of COVID-19, has been teaming up with the city and the state. In March, the university donated much needed personal protective equipment, which you've heard on the news as PPE, for our medical community. We created new PPE in our maker lab. Our designs actually became used as a template for other makers across the country. And we housed medical workers in a separate residential area on our campus to keep our students and our community safe. Our College of Business and the Venture College both immediately stepped in with consulting services and free webinars to help our business community navigate and understand different perspectives in approaching this complex situation. Our educational technology program is about to announce that they'll be offering one of their key courses taken by students all over the country, an intro to online teaching free to Idaho K-12 teachers for this summer to help them prepare to meet potential future disruptions. Our Career Center, I'm very proud to mention this, went completely virtual, connecting Idahoans in need of jobs with local employers. In fact, we received national recognition for that. Universities are also experiencing financial challenges at this time. I watch various groups that are pulling together data from students to indicate whether the students and their families are thinking that coming back to school, attending university will be a good decision in the fall. We're very fortunate that in Boise, perhaps in part fueled by Forbes's recent analysis that said Boise was one of the cities best prepared to respond and bounce back from the epidemic. Our numbers look very good, but we can't predict student behavior in these unprecedented times. We don't know if what people are feeling right now will translate into action in the fall. Boise State has already experienced an approximately $10 million loss from canceled events and refunds, prorated refunds that we issued. And we're watching several factors very closely that will shape our budget in the short term, including how the disruption alters Idaho's tax revenues and the governor's budgetary decisions, how soon we can resume the larger events, including athletics and countless other public events held across campus each year, and most importantly, what students and their families decide for next fall, both Idaho students and our large out-of-state student population. We recognize the role that investment in higher education plays to the economy, but we also recognize the way in which universities have a responsibility to support our communities. And that's not just with the research that they produce, that helps advance things like the kinds of outcomes we've seen with the PPE or with the support we're providing to the public schools, but also in terms of the ways that our faculty and staff help produce these amazing graduates. And the third area that universities are engaged in as a part of their mission, teaching, research, and service. It's also to bring to bear this incredible knowledge trust and to serve our communities. We know it's never been more important for students to pursue credentials in higher education. Just last week, I met with the head of the Federal Reserve for the Western United States to explain the pivotal role that universities play in revitalizing our economy. We know that as we look forward to the fall, that we'll be considering the ways in which we can safely serve students, faculty, and staff. We also recognize the ways in which the university as an entity has an impact on the local economy. So we'll be working in close collaboration with our city and the state of Idaho to help revitalize that economy, save and create jobs, provide a pipeline of graduates for the workforce, and to help this community continue to thrive. I'm very honored and privileged to be a part of the City of Boise's Economic Recovery Task Force, and I'm ready to roll up my sleeves and work for all Idahoans to ensure that our economic future is bright. Thank you, Mayor McLean.
Well, thank you, Dr. Trump. And I have to say that, one of the things that we've asked our task force to do is to begin when they come together to place a strong emphasis on top economic recovery priorities. And that will include education and workforce development and strengthen relationships between the city, the university, the state, of course, the region, and various business partners. And higher education is such an important part of that because together we can recognize the investments that need to be made to create the workers of the future, which will be a 21st century economy post-COVID. And it's also important that we work closely with partners that have innovated in this community for years and years, and that will continue to innovate and determine what's next. And it's for that reason that we're so pleased to have Albertsons join us, as represented by John Colgrove, the president, as I said, of our Intermountain Division. John, would you like to say a couple things?
Well, certainly. Thank you, Mayor. And I appreciate the opportunity to serve on this important task force that you've assembled towards developing this great economic recovery plan. And I can tell you, I am so honored to work with such a distinguished group of leaders, especially you, Dr. Trump. I just absolutely love your message just now, and I can't wait to partner with you and the rest of the team to get going on this. You know, our store teams have been on the front lines with our neighbors throughout this entire pandemic. And honestly, I couldn't be more proud of their amazing work and their positive attitudes. They've truly been an inspiration for all of us. And at Albertsons, we've made it our top priority to help protect the health and safety of every person that walks through our doors, whether it's an employee, a customer, or a partner that delivers goods to us, while still providing essential foods, medicines, and goods that our community needs every day. We've done so many things to ensure safety in our stores, and we're following all of the CDC guidelines. We update that regularly as new information comes out, and we share that information with our store teams. We've implemented so many safety measures, including floor markers in our stores that talk about social distancing, through our check stands, through every one of our service departments. We have limited store occupancy to ensure that we have enough room for social distancing, health screening for both our customers and our associates, dedicated cleaning staffs for enhanced cleaning throughout the store for all of the critical touch points, masks for all of our employees. We've put plexiglass guards throughout all of the check stands, again, all of the various departments, service departments where customers and associates would interact. We've paused some self-service operations like our soup bars, our wing bars, and our salad bars until we get a complete understanding of what this all means. We're making cart wipes and hand sanitizer stations available throughout the store, throughout every department in the store, ensuring our customers and associates have the ability to wash their hands at any time, again, as they're in the store. Modified store hours to give associates time to restock and clean the store. And then also some special hours dedicated for seniors and vulnerable shoppers to ensure that they have an opportunity to get the goods that they need as we work through this pandemic. You know, we've learned such a great deal about operating in this unique environment. And I look forward to sharing our best practices and learnings with my partners on this task force as we work together to make Boise more vibrant than ever. Thank you.
Thank you, John. You know, I just want to say in closing that our community has a history of individuals innovating, taking what was and creating something new out of it. And once in a lifetime, and in this case, once every 100 years, something happens in our country, and in this case, our world, that requires individuals to change the way they go about daily life, to change the way they work, to take new steps to be able to continue to provide services while protecting their employees, and ultimately to renew companies, industries, and economies after crisis. We've seen in the last couple months that Boiseans are willing to do this as we've stepped back and paused, made sacrifices, as companies like Albertsons and Micron and Simplot and Idaho Power have changed the way they've worked with their large employee base. And now what's next is that we have to work hard, roll up our sleeves, as Dr. Trump said, come together and imagine what an economy of the future looks like, what investments need to be made in education and workforce development to make sure that we have people prepared to provide the services that are needed, and also to do everything we can to support businesses that are grown here so that our residents have the opportunity to succeed and thrive in the long run. I know our community is up to the task. I'm really excited to get to work with this task force, and then ultimately with the community of business leaders, innovators, educators at large, to make sure that we're leaving no stone unturned in developing a plan that tells us as a city how we best can help and support this community as we seek to recover. I appreciate the service that our task force members have committed to, and look forward to regular updates with the public and the next steps ahead that will be led by Sean Keithley, our Director of Economic Development, in partnership with this task force and other experts in the field. And with that, if people have any questions, I think we've got a couple minutes. Happy to take them.
Don, Matt, do you mind sending Don onto the screen? He's got a question. Don Day.
I see Don.
Okay, I didn't know if I was supposed to go or not.
Hi there.
Sorry, we're all getting used to these little quirks. What do you hope this task force is going to do? What would be the results for business owners and citizens that you hope to see from this?
Sure. Our city, the city of Boise, needs an actionable plan for economic development so we can best understand as a city government how we support businesses, residents, educational institutions in our time spent, investments, recruiting, and policies to ensure that in the long run, there's our economy recovers and ultimately grows. So from the task force, I'm asking for them to serve as the foundation from which a team of economic development experts would work with us to build a plan for the city of Boise that we'd measure ourselves against and hold ourselves accountable to make sure that we're supporting economic recovery and ultimately economic growth in the long run.
I've got Heather Drusen with a question. Heather, you're unmuted.
Hi, Heather.
Or Heath, I'm sorry.
It's Heath, yes, that's okay.
Sorry.
It happens all the time. I have a two-part question. So what I'm wondering about is what without, I guess, action by the city and this task force, what is the threat to the local economy right now from the fallout of this? And then looking around the city, there seems to be very uneven practice of social distancing and a lot of the recommendations of the phase we're in right now as far as keeping this virus from coming back. So how concerned are you about a resurgence of the virus as far as what it might do to the local economy?
Sure, I appreciate that, Heath. I've said all along since our early days of action back in March that first and foremost, the city needed to do everything that we could to ensure that we were managing the spread of the virus. Not that we are not public health experts. There are those that will make those decisions, but from policy perspectives, whether it be taking early actions to shut down City Hall, and then to require physical distancing and to shut down businesses. And now as we start to open, looking to make sure that protocols are required and followed, because we want to do everything possible to protect the economy by making sure that we aren't surging up and down, up and down. I am concerned, as I believe everyone is and will be, that this is going to be a situation that we have to actively manage for the next 6 to 18 months to make sure that we aren't having the fits and starts that could hurt our economy even more than having had shut down. But people in this community that own small businesses, single proprietors or others are struggling because of the economic fallout from COVID. And our city government itself needs to have a focused effort on economic recovery and economic opportunity beyond. And even before COVID, we knew that we needed to do this to make sure that we're effectively leveraging our resources, building the partnerships necessary, making smart investments so that our economy can grow.
We have a question from Gretchen. Gretchen, are you able to unmute?
There, can you guys hear me?
Hi, Gretchen.
Hi, Gretchen with Channel 7. So question, what would be, I guess, the first priority for the task force? What's number one on the list that you guys really want to tackle or have you had a chance to kind of sit down and figure that out yet?
Well, the first steps will be the convening of our task force members to have a part of that conversation. I discussed with each member last week our goals of creating that foundation from which we build a plan. And I look to them as leading experts in the field, thought experts, to help us ask the questions that need to be asked to build a plan that would guide city actions moving forward.
Haley Harding.
Hi, Haley.
Hello. This question is actually for Dr. Tromp. Do you have any plans yet or feel yet for if Boise State is planning to reopen in the fall, or any status updates on what's going to happen there? Like you said, there are a lot of out-of-state students, and I know that probably makes things a little more complicated.
We actually have plans. Thank you, Haley. We have plans to communicate out on May 25th. So we've been working with an MD, DPH, doctorate in public health, who used to work on military bases to prevent the spread of illness. So it's a great parallel to a college campus where you have people, living in shared living spaces and dining in shared dining and communing really closely together. So she's helping us develop a plan. And we anticipate having that plan out on May 25th. That's what we told our community.
Don Day, you have another question?
The buttons, it's actually for the mayor and President Trump. Boise State football, obviously a large event, expecting a lot of people this fall. I haven't heard any guidance on whether or not those events may take place and if we may see changes and what the current status and planning is on that.
President Trump, yeah, you want to?
Sure, let me just begin by saying go Broncos. We are looking forward to hearing from NCAA soon. They'll be sharing some insights about their analysis. We have some feeling that they might, because each state is so different, tell states they have to follow their own state guidelines. So right now, we are waiting for guidance, and we're looking for ways to help our student athletes be safe while when they're able to practice. But that's got to be our first priority, and keeping the community safe as well. And so we'll be waiting for that information to come in. One of the hardest things I think that all of us in leadership have faced at this time is that as people look forward to fall and they really want clear answers to questions, we're still waiting for so much information to come in and evolve. And those are some big pieces that we're waiting to fall into place before we know exactly what's going to happen.
So forgive me if this is not correct any longer, but the mayor had said in stage 4 in Boise that the number of people gathering would be capped at 250. There is no stage 5. How does that impact your planning on events, football and otherwise, on campus?
Well, and Don, I'll jump in here too.
Yeah.
I think that Dr. Trump said it well. That's far away and there's so many unknowns. We thought that it was most prudent not to go from 50 to unlimited, but to move from 50 to another number in the same way that we unwound, turned off everything in the winter. And as we progress through that next stage, we'll be looking at, what's happening with the spread of the virus, how the hospitals are doing, what's happening on the university campus and in businesses around the community, and then making calls as to what group sizes look like and how we move forward. Thanks.
Hi, Mayor, President Trump and Mr. Colgrove, thank you so much for joining us today. I will be sending out a press release after this, and it will have a link to this press conference. And if you have any questions or need anything additional answered, you know where to reach me, and we'll get things taken care of for you. Mayor, thank you so much today.
Thank you. And thank you, Dr. Tromp and John. Really appreciate you joining us. Take care. Be well.
Thank you.